Muckers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having the best day ever. Thank you so much for clicking on my YouTube channel and on my video today. I really appreciate you being here. And I'm very excited for today's video. Now, I have been getting sent a lot of things on the Violating Community Guidelines subreddit, basically in regards to the ending of Brittany Broski and Sarah Schauer's kind of professional relationship. Now, we are aware that they live together, allegedly still, and, you know, they're friends. They're not cousins, for those who genuinely believe that. That was just a bit. They're not actually cousins. But, you know, they do live together, and their personal life versus their professional life are completely different entities. So, their professional life together seems to have come to a close. So, there's a lot of people talking about it. There's a lot of opinions, and a lot of things have been heightened by the way that both Brittany and Sarah have handled them. Before we get into the video, however, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and also that you follow my TikTok account. We are getting so close to 10,000 muckers over there, which I'm so excited for. If you go, I just got a little like hairball in my mouth there. If you go and click the link down below, or if you type in @TheAdamMcIntyre on TikTok and go over and follow, and if you do, please go over and comment saying, hey, I came here from the Brittany and Sarah video. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, we're getting so close to 10K over there, and I really appreciate it. But let's get into today's video. So, yeah, we have a lot of things to get through. So, as we're aware, the Violating Community Guidelines podcast kind of ended in a very abrupt and messy way. Now, there are so many things being said over on the Reddit. So, Sarah has launched their new podcast, and there's a lot of people talking about that. Recently, Brittany was on a live stream, and Trixie Mattel was on the phone call, and Trixie was like, you've got to give me the tea on Sarah. I want to find out what happened. And then Brittany was freaking out because it was kind of exposed that there was tea with Sarah, and there's so many different things. So there's a lot of comments under this one post that says Brittany's response to the viral TikTok of her and Trixie, which was the phone call like we talked about. So Brittany commented on it, like we've said, and said, girl, there's zero tea. I hadn't told Trixie about the podcast ending, so she was just curious. Even then, there's no tea. We're just doing things differently creatively. And then the person responded and said, okay. So here's the response to this on the subreddit. I feel like there's no bad blood because I saw Sarah the other day posting on her Instagram story that she's trying a new drink that Brittany bought. So I think that they're, you know, still close. So we talked about this in one of the previous videos, but I do think it's important to note. So Brittany has addressed the fact that this clip with her on live with Trixie has gone viral, but a lot of people are saying, I don't think that there's drama here, and then there's a lot of people saying what this person is saying, that is basically like, Brittany is hiding a lot from her audience and it's becoming very shady. So I wanted to show those two things before we progressed further in the conversation. So whenever we go on the subreddit, even more so, there is this person who wrote this post, SomeAd400 said, Brittany and Sarah drama. I've been a fan of both of these creators for a good while and I adore them both. Their content together and separately has always been a comfort, as I'm sure it has been for a lot of us on here. I've somewhat recently been made aware of the drama that's been happening, and I've had some things to say about it. This is addressed not just to some people here on Reddit, but everyone on social media. Edit, this post was very long, as one commenter said, and they were right, and I was a bit hypocritical by saying it's not our business while making such a long post. I should have taken my own advice and taken a step back, so I'd like to keep my too long to read as the whole post, since it hits the points that I wanted to make. So here it is. Too long to read, this is the person's point that a lot of people have been sending me. Some of you need to be more respectful. Some of you need to take a step back from the situation that's happening between Brittany and Sarah, and because you're too invested and involved in it. There's obviously legal issues, reasons that they're not talking about what you want them to talk about. You need to treat both of those individuals at hand here with respect, stop filling up comment sections about it, and stop making those tea videos, YouTube videos, TikToks, hey, about it. And lastly, remember that these people are real people with real lives, and treating them like their lives are some TV show commodity for you is wrong. Just because they're in the public eye doesn't mean they owe you anything at all. Okay, so here's my take on that, because a lot of people have been asking me about this. Brittany and Sarah know what they're doing, and I love them both equally. I love Brittany Broski and I love Sarah Schauer. They have openly talked about on their Violating Community Guidelines podcast, about drama channels, about creating drama, about what drama does, about when one person is shady online. Sarah was posting a lot of shady things about Brittany. Sarah was posting that they didn't want the podcast to end, that it wasn't their decision, and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, Brittany was saying that, yes, this was a mutual agreement and all like this. So to assume that the fans aren't going to speculate and cause drama is basically stupid on both of their behalves. Now, I believe that Brittany and Sarah both believe that there was going to be drama from what they did, and I'm not calling them stupid, but I'm calling the fans that said that, I can't believe people are speculating. I'm calling them stupid, because for them to do what they did, they knew they were going to get a reaction, both Sarah and Brittany. There was going to be a reaction either way. Sarah fed into it, Brittany didn't, but eventually Brittany, you know, said that she got her new show and she's working on that. And Sarah gets her new podcast. So for the people saying, I can't believe people are talking about drama, their entire podcast was talking about things going wrong on the internet. And you imagine whenever things go wrong between the two people talking about things going wrong on the internet, that people aren't going to talk about it? You're stupid. Like, it made me so pissed off whenever people were sending me things like this, because I was like, I don't see your point at all. I genuinely don't see your point. The difference in this is that we can come at this from a respectful point of view, and we can only talk about things we've been given, but we have been given a lot. We've been given that Sarah doesn't want it to end. We've been given it that Brittany has this opinion. We've given it that Brittany is telling her friends publicly that there's tea, that Sarah is then responding to that, not happy, that Sarah's moving on with the podcast, that they had filmed a bunch of episodes that apparently aren't being released. What do you want us to take from this? Anyway, so there's a lot of people agreeing with this person, and there's a lot of people disagreeing with this person. So I would love to know what your opinion is. The only reason I'm not really reading out any further, like, opinions on that specific post is because I genuinely promise you my opinion is so strong on that internet creators know what they're doing whenever they want to get drama. And it's like, they know what they're doing. As much as I love both of them, writing shady posts, not officially ending the podcast, it's gonna cause controversy. It did. It has. People want to know the answers, and it's like, people's favorite creator was Brittany Broski. People's favorite creator was Sarah Schauer. Putting them together, favorite creator duo. And whenever that falls apart and you're not honest with your audience, and you actually, like Brittany Broski did, make fun of them whenever they're insinuating there's tea because you said there was, you're just being weird. Like, you're being weird. As much as I love Brittany Broski, for her to go on her Instagram live, not tell Trixie Mattel that they were being recorded. Trixie says, what's the tea with Sarah? Brittany freaks out, obviously, as she would. And then Brittany goes, I don't know why you guys are saying there's tea. You're so stupid. La 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 la. That was disrespectful of Brittany. And that was also stupid of Brittany. I also realized that she was doing that because she was freaking out in that moment. So, you know what I mean? There's a little bit of slack that I'm giving there, but it's like, I just think all of this could have been so avoided, and they purposely created so much drama themselves, both of them. Like, this could have been, even if there's legal issues, this could have been done in a much better way. Anyway, Brittany Broski's new podcast, or sorry, Sarah Schauer's new podcast, Brittany Broski, her one is coming in a couple weeks / a month or two, which is the one that's like medieval themed. So, Sarah Schauer's new podcast, here is the teaser that we got. So, it's called The BCC Club with Sarah Schauer and Kendall Laundreth. It says, welcome to the chain. We are your hosts, Sarah and Kendall. From mommy vloggers run amok to boomers breaking down on cameras to the people who believe they're allergic to Wi-Fi, you're not going to want to miss this. And now, here's why people wanted me to make this video. Sarah Schauer's new podcast is basically just violating community guidelines. And this makes me feel bad for Sarah, because Sarah is now doing the same podcast with a different person, and it's under the same management that violating community guidelines was under, so I assume that there was some sort of Sarah, we're gonna do the same formula, and it's just kind of making me feel annoyed, because Sarah is a great creator within themselves, the same way Brittany Broski is a great creator within herself, so the fact that Brittany got this great offer and left, and Sarah is still having to kind of, I hate to be shady, but pick up the pieces and do a new podcast with basically the same theme. Like, mommy vloggers to boomers breaking down on the internet to people believing they're allergic to Wi-Fi. Let's take a deep dive into the internet, discussing new topics every week, and maybe even CC in some special guests. This is just violating community guidelines. And I believe that there was some sort of deal with Studio 71, is it Studio 71, that the podcast had to be somewhat similar. And it just makes me feel quite weird, because as much as I love Brittany's, you know, gone off and had these amazing offers and done her own thing. But Sarah is like at a standstill, but just having to fill in Brittany's position. So anyway, that is the new podcast from Sarah. And then the responses to this have basically been like, someone said, a lot of people are saying, oh, this is like VCG. What else do you expect two chronically online people to talk about? I feel like it will definitely be enough to stand on its own, and I'm super excited to listen. And there's a lot of people that are saying this. I agree with this. They're both internet comedians, as in Kendall and Sarah, and it's a huge part of their life being on the internet. I'm also very excited for this and Brittany's new show. Then we have a lot of people saying that they feel bad for Sarah because they believe that this is basically Sarah having to pick up the pieces of Brittany leaving and Sarah doing the same show without Brittany with a different person. So basically, the fan base are arguing back and forth about this new show with Sarah as well, because they basically believe that, you know, it's just a carbon copy. So, under Sarah's announcement post, she addressed something. So, Sarah said in comments, the podcast is coming February 1st. Check out the link in bio. Then Sarah went on to say, so guys, I'm really excited for the new podcast. And I know some of you are curious about VCG, but everything is okay. Things end. You can listen to our new pod. You can listen to VCG. You can check out all the stuff Brittany's coming out with. Just be happy for all of us. Thank you. And then someone said, the issue arises when you basically went on an internet spree of Brittany bashing innuendos. So there's like a lot of, this is why I wanted to make this. There are so many, and Sarah has responded to this. There's a lot of people still really not happy with how this has ended and are still causing up a fuss. And that's why there's a lot of drama in the VCG community. So someone responds to Sarah, like I said, saying the issue arises when you basically went on an internet spree of Brittany bashing innuendos and refused to say anything about it. I understand that we're all human and have emotions. But if this is how you're going to handle your first controversy, you've got a long road ahead. This is a this is a tough comment, you've got a long way ahead. Brushing everything under the rug just leaves everyone with a bad taste in their mouth about you, Sarah. This is really rough. Being honest and open and truthful is what you need to be in order to be a successful influencer, or whatever you want to call it. I guess you'll learn this soon enough, though. We are all happy with the success in your life, but with that success comes the obligation of being truthful to the fans that brought you there. And then Sarah said, sorry, my throat is so dry because I need to cough so bad and have this entire video, but I'm trying not to cough because that's so rude. You can see my eyes watering up. You know, whenever you feel like you have something in the back of your throat, it's so rude to cough. And in my last couple of videos, I've coughed and I've hated editing it because the sound levels go crazy. So I'm trying my best not to, but just know I feel like I have a feather back there. So Sarah said, I understand what you're saying. No more innuendos, I promise. If I'm upset about anything, I will be very clear. So people responded to this and said, I'm glad that Sarah was actually mature about this and was speaking up about the fact that she was, you know, saying innuendos. And then a lot of people were saying, I feel like Sarah's referring to the day the last episode dropped, whenever Sarah said some pretty vague Instagram stories about how they were upset and it wasn't something that they wanted to happen and it was the network that ended it. And basically, there's a lot of people talking on this. And so I'm gonna read out this last response. Like, this post is doing well on the Reddit, so I want to read this one, then I kind of want to give my opinion on Sarah speaking up. So someone said, drama and my opinion. Okay, I'm gonna try and keep this concise. I think all of this has gotten blown out of proportion with the ending of the podcast. What it looks like is VCG was the brainchild of Sarah, I think. They're the one that came up with the idea and Brittany went along with it, probably because she thought it was a good idea as well, and then Brittany unexpectedly got an offer to do a different podcast show that she's been wanting to do for a long time. She mentioned this earlier on the H3 podcast. She said that this was something she wanted to do and a concept, and she had guests lined up to be in the podcast. I think we saw Sarah, you know, be upset about this and was frustrated that Brittany left VCG without giving her time to have a backup plan. And now we're seeing this new podcast come out and it's very similar to VCG, so this is probably what Sarah has had to do in the meantime. She probably wanted to continue doing the original show, but they're both, you know, doing different things now, and Sarah's had to do it with a different person. Too long to read. I think Sarah came up with the show idea and was a little frustrated because Brittany went to do her own show, and now she's got to do something very similar. So, here's my take on what Sarah is saying about, you know, they'll be more upfront about, you know, being upset in the future. I feel like I completely understand where Sarah was coming from whenever they were, you know, being pretty vague and coming for Brittany. I get it. I mean, you know, Brittany got this amazing offer to have her own show, and that's so amazing. But it does look like, as much as I love Brittany, it does look like she got that offer and kind of pretty soon at a halt just stopped VCG, which then affected Sarah. And I don't think it's rude to say that Sarah obviously needs Brittany more than Brittany needs Sarah. And, you know, it kind of left Sarah in a hard place. And that was probably the duration of time that Sarah was writing these pretty vague messages. But then Sarah found Kendall to continue the Studio 71 contract to do a very similar podcast like VCG. So this is the last video, you know what I mean? I feel like we've got our closure. And that's why I wanted to make it. Because people were like, you know, there's a lot of arguing going on. Sarah's addressed a lot of drama. My ending take on this, like ending take on this violating community guidelines drama, so this is it coming to a close, is Brittany got the offer. Brittany's going to do her own show, which is whenever it comes out. I mean, I thought it was going to be out by now, but whatever. Which is apparently filming in Brittany and Sarah's house, which is shady, but alright. Tax write-off queen. And then Sarah had to pick up the pieces from Brittany leaving because of an amazing opportunity. That's kind of what I've taken from this. But, you know, Sarah is addressing this now in a more mature way, kind of talking about the fact that they don't, you know, want to handle things moving forward how they have in the past. And I think this is kind of a very mature ending to a very messy saga. I want to know your opinion though, but I feel like this couldn't have ended in a better way. I feel like it was really messy, things went really bad, especially with the Trixie call with Brittany. The way Brittany handled it, she really annoyed the fans. But I feel like the way Sarah's handling it now, the way Brittany's being silent, I feel like this is like the perfect ending. And like, for the true fans of the Violating Community Guidelines podcast like myself, you know, we can kind of sit back now and be like, alright, you know, I assume they're still friends, but professionally, they're not going to work together again. Because they had a series on YouTube, you know, where it was like pee-pee poo-poo time. Sounds so silly to say that out loud. Never said that out loud before. But they had it and they haven't done it since. And it's like, alright, maybe they're just going to be roommates. You know what I mean? Maybe they're not going to be professional friends anymore. Maybe they've genuinely just moved on. So, end of an era. End of an era. Let me know your opinion. We'll talk about it down below. I appreciate you being here. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want, go over and follow my TikTok at the Adam McIntyre. And let's talk about it. Alright, last video on this saga. Feels good to say that. Okay, I'll see you in my next one. Bye. Mwah.